that you're talking about with video, that'll just look completely seamless.
Yeah. I don't know where that world necessarily leads to, but when I think of it in terms of AI influencers, it's like AI influencers are already around right now, and
Yeah.
they're creating content that is influencing human behavior.
Right. Yeah, and that's a world we now live in. Whether you like it or not, that's the world we live in. And I think it's a progression of like the faceless content channels that I've seen. There's a lot of YouTube channels out there that are very popular. You'll never, hear or see the creator's face, and because they want to stay anonymous, but they definitely provide a lot of good value. With these though, it's AI with faces.
Yeah.
It's like it's not just a human behind the things. It probably is a human behind the scenes, but they're using AI as like a mask.
Well, when you think about how people typically develop a relationship with an influencer, or even on dating websites,
Yeah.
when Hinge, Tinder, people text and message first, develop a level of an attraction based off their small engagement, and then the profile that they created.
Yep.
And then they meet in person and decide
Right.
whether or not they want to continue.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that attraction is built in a virtual space.
Increasingly.
And so, right? And so
Yeah.
if you think about AI in that vein, especially with how good it's getting, where you can create a coherent profile and sets of interactions around a personality type, it becomes really interesting to think about how far that goes in terms of the impact and influence it has on how we interact as people. On top of that, just to introduce another
Yeah.
variable into the mix, is more people are it has
A whole week.
precisely a week. All right, let's jump right into it.
All right, let's kick it off. What you got?
I have a list of a couple of things that have piqued my interest throughout the week, and at the top of the list is this idea of interest media instead of social media. Yes.
Instead of social media.
Yeah. What do you think about when I throw that your way?
Makes me immediately think of TikTok, where they're like, we're gonna, instead of just being, pushing the popular people, we're gonna push what we think you're interested in.
Yeah. In the biggest place that I take that away from, obviously it's obvious that TikTok made a huge impact on the context of like digital media
Right.
all over right now. But when I was thinking about this, it was like what comes to mind is what Gary Vee was talking about, the TikTokification of social media. I think of Jeff Conte's, who's the CEO of Patreon.
Yep.
When he talked about the evolution of social media, he talked about it as the death of the follower.
Yeah.
And to me, it is very interesting because there was so much that we had caught up in this whole follower movement, subscriber movement. It doesn't seem like that's where we are right now.
That's interesting. I mean, Streamer University is happening right now too.
The what?
Streamer University?
Streaming University.
Yeah, Kai's
I did hear about that. People are mad about that.
Yeah, there's mixed reactions, but it's interesting.
I don't know the premise of this, so you have to break this down for me.
I don't know that much about it because I'm not a full-time streamer, but I think he's flying people into a university-style building where he is having streamers be professors and kind of teach people. I saw there was one by DDG on Internet Beef 101.
Okay.
He's like, how to win every single internet beef.
Wow.
And it was just, trying to, I guess, bring together the best of the best in that world.
Yeah.
And then sharing game, and then also because you're all under one roof, everyone kind of clip everyone else and kind of, mutually benefit off of what's happening. But when you're talking about followers, I'm like, that's their entire business model, is to get subscribers, to get followers.
Yeah. I don't think it's death of the follower, and I don't know if we've completely moved into interest-based media.
Right.
If anything, when people are describing it, if I had to add more context to it, it would be social and the following is less important, but it's still really important. It's just less prioritized than interest. Everybody's leading with their interests, and content is discovered through interests and not through social circles, which is a slight difference, but it makes all the difference.
Yeah,
I saw this interview with Tim Dillon on CNN of all places.
that was a great interview, by the way.
It was That's another conversation.
Bro, that was a great interview. We could go off a couple hours talking about just how amazingly funny that interview actually was, even though it was supposed to be a very serious interview.
It was compelling and hard to watch at the same time.
Well, that to me, there's definitely some comedic notes in terms of just how I saw the interaction. But yeah, keep going. What were you saying?
So he was talking about Joe Rogan and how the interviewer was asking how Joe Rogan's impact on the comedy world and on digital media, and Tim Dillon was saying that he thinks that Joe Rogan just had an impact on media in general,
Yeah.
specifically for the main fact that he led with his interests.
Yeah.
So he's never been trying to cater to the mass public. He's like, this is what I'm interested in, this is what I'm rocking with, and I want to discuss these things I'm interested in with interesting people.
Yeah.
And that's how I'm going to lead. And that's been his big contribution. And not everybody likes it, but we all know that it's, at the end of the day, we're getting the Joe Rogan experience.
Which to me, I think is one of the most authentic experiences out there.
It's all authenticity.
You know what I mean?
And that to me is a key indicator of interest media, because it's
Right.
better to index off of the interests of the creator and match that with the interests of the consumer or the user than it is to even add that layer of the social circle or give so much weight to that, which is very different from where I started with social media, which
Yeah.
is not where a lot of people started with social media. And that's in the MySpace days, where it was about
Right.
your top 8, and then that became like, it kind of grew a little bit, but it was really focused on who's your top 8. Everybody was looking at who's your top 8.
Yep.
That evolved into Facebook, which was a more broad social directory, and then the stories pretty well documented after that. You go into Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and then the variety of different platforms.
I think what interests me the most about that is the fact that with the top 8 and like those other like beginning social media platforms, it was all about, and even YouTube to a certain extent, like today, is it's all about the reach. It's all about how big can your social following get, not necessarily like are you following what you're interested in. Like there's almost like a different goal that people are chasing.
Okay.
And it's really cool to me because with Joe Rogan, like he kind of got the best of both worlds, where he was able to talk about things that he's interested in, and he was able to get a mass following. But you don't really need a mass following if you have a small enough group of people who are all interested in the same topic. Like you can actually support yourself off of not that many people, right? You don't actually have to get to hundreds of thousands of people if you're just trying to talk about, some kind of niche thing that you're actually really passionate about. And by doing that, you can actually form your own community and actually get support by those people, instead of trying to appease the masses.
Yeah, it's a different angle.
Yeah.
I think like there's also the element of Joe Rogan, which I think you see this also in music, where people that were around prior to 2010 were able to ride the wave of the previous guard into the new world. And like what comes to mind are people like Drake or Taylor Swift, or you could even go like Kanye or The Weeknd, where they were so big before, and then they had an established base that they've been able to develop and bring into this new like world where it's primarily on the internet. Most things revolve around what's going on the internet, and yeah, it's like that's the focal point, the main point.
Yeah.
You can have smaller communities and you can build communities, and again, we push for that. But it's like the I think Seth Godin talked about this. It was like the 1,000 loyal fans.
Yeah,
Where if you have like 1,000 people
exactly.
that are all paying in a certain amount per month, then you can support yourself. But in terms of just looking at the landscape and where the big names are really
Hmm.
hitting right now, is it's in that digital space. It's in interest media. At
Yep.
least that's how you hook people in. And it's also kind of strange because it seems so obvious that like we're moving in this direction, but
Yeah.
you did need a TikTok to come and say, no, we're going to prioritize this in our algorithm and not that,
Right.
to be able to create that dynamic.
Or to have people even ask the question. There's so
Mm-hmm.
many things that we just kind of assume are
Yeah.
the way the world works
Yeah.
until somebody comes along and makes you question, like, oh, maybe we can do it differently.
Mm-hmm.
And that was largely part of what TikTok did when they disrupted, some of the big players, was like, oh, maybe we can do this a little bit differently.
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing that's another thing that's evolved from interest media is we're seeing a lot more people move into the whole QVC, live shopping online, and that's something that is, it's probably been around more in China.
Hmm.
We're starting to see that more in America now,
Right. With like the digital products you're talking about and
but selling them live. So you get
yeah,
on to, and I'm thinking of Whatnot as well.
whatnot. Yep.
We've talked about like what that would look like in something like Constant.
Yeah.
Just adding that as just a different area to monetize. But
Whatnot's great. Do you want to just touch on what that is?
well, it's a live shopping platform,
Yeah.
and that's like at the heart of it, and it's basically digital QVC.
Hmm.
And again, like it's just, we're here now where that's just a thing, and that's a way that people can interact and earn and brings a different level of depth to the whole online experience that we haven't had before.
I think that also, to me, when I've been on Whatnot and looking at some of these live streams, there is a little bit of that old school mentality where it's like, call right now to get a deal. Buy the item right now to get a deal. But it,
But wait, there's more. Ding 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 ding.
exactly.
Yeah.
There's like a certain level of it that's still with some of these people that are on the platform, but then there's also like a little bit of I would call it, I guess, just more authenticity, because you can see the person doesn't have like a whole production behind them trying to get you to call and bid for the
Yeah.
item. If they're just on a screen holding the item you're about to pay for.
Yeah.
So like I like the, I guess, the wave in which that's progressing,
How
because
natural it is.
it was so awkward to have to
Yeah.
call into like a 1-800 number.
Well, people did it. That was a
So
thing.
many people did,
That
and
was
they
a
still
thing.
do, honestly.
Yeah, they still do, and
Yeah.
it's a huge thing, but it's just becoming more commonplace. And I think it's what's also interesting is the younger people adopt the technology earlier,
Yeah.
and then older people come in and turn it into some type of business, or find a way to monetize on it, or develop it a little bit more. But that seems to be the pattern of how things happen. Like the thing that's really fascinating to me, even though we've moved into this whole like shopping on a stream discussion, is the streaming university.
Yeah.
Like, I want to tap into one of these and see what are they talking about on the streaming university.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's certainly, like, to me, it feels like obviously like a big marketing play too. To be like, I'm gonna run my own mastermind,
Yeah.
and stream pretty much all of it, right? To kind of build up that viewership and kind of do like a mini marathon kind of around it.
Okay. Are they like giving like so they're talking about what it's like to
How to excel in the streamer world.
Okay.
I don't know how much of it's public and how much of it's not, but it
Okay.
seems like he rented out or bought out like a school. It's like using the classroom settings and the auditorium,
That's
and
kind of fun.
yeah, with that kind of resources, you can do a lot of fun stuff.
That's kind of fun.
Yeah.
So some other things that I've been thinking about is the rise of digital and virtual influencers.
Ooh, that's a deep topic.
Yeah, and where that's going.
Okay.
Yeah.
What looks like on that though?
Huh?
Like
Um,
digital and
Well, where it's going,
okay.
I think I am always baffled at how much fake content is out there. I am not always. I'm increasingly baffled
Yeah,
at
yeah.
how much fake content is out there, and I'll give you two situations that I'm
Okay.
sure you've come across
Okay.
that I think more and more people have been coming across as of late.
Okay.
The first thing is when I receive a video from somebody,
Yeah.
I'm usually like, especially if it's somebody I respect, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go and check this video out and I'm gonna listen to it.
Talking
Now,
about like somebody sharing it like a group chat or
share,
something.
yeah,
Okay.
sharing a video with me in a group chat, a group text,
Sure.
online, whatever it might be, and let me know if you've had this similar situation. You watch the video, and within 3 seconds, you're thinking to yourself, "This is a fake video. This is AI generated."
I have, yes.
Right?
Yes.
And you're like, did this person know that it was AI generated, or why are they sending me this AI generated video?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's not bad if it's somewhat good material.
Sure.
It gets weird when you're like, this is clearly fake and clearly wrong.
And bad.
I've had some people send it to me. I'm like, why? This is wrong. Did you watch the video before you sent it to me?
Oh, wow.
Just playing around. But then the second thing
Yeah.
is, have you ever been watching something and then maybe 2 minutes in you're like, oh no, this is fake, but it's actually pretty good.
I was just gonna say there's some videos where I don't immediately see that it doesn't immediately trigger my fight or flight reaction, like, oh
Yeah.
God, that's a robot.
Yeah.
Or AI. But I have noticed that halfway through the video, or there's like a clip where they pan away from whoever's talking,
Yeah.
and they introduce some kind of AI imagery or AI video. I'm like, oh wow,
That's fake.
like that's all fake.
That's fake. I've stumbled on a couple podcasts where it's between two people like us,
Yeah, yeah.
and they're breaking down a book or they're discussing something, and they go back and forth, and it's AI generated. It's an AI generated podcast between two people talking about a specific topic, and they'll have inflections like we have, or like an average podcast has, where they're talking and they're saying like, hey, did you like this? And this person's like, of course I liked it. It's like, well, what did you actually like about it? It's like, well, I was watching a little bit, and it has the inflections and all of that, and I'm like, wow, this is getting really, really really convincing. It's just becoming immersed in our life.
Yeah. No, I think so I actually did that. I generated an entire podcast around my resume.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I put that up,
Yeah.
and it has all those kind of inflections in there where it is honestly amazing, the kind of technology, and it's only getting better, right? Like this week we just had the Google I/O summit, or the Google I/O event, I should say, for 2025, and I think it's like for $250 a month you can get access to their premium video creator tools, VO3 and Flow, which are going to be matching that audio that you're talking about with video. That'll just look completely seamless.
Yeah. I don't know where that world necessarily leads to, but when I think of it in terms of AI influencers, it's like AI influencers are already around right now, and
Yeah.
they're creating content that is influencing human behavior.
Right. Yeah, and that's a world we now live in. Whether you like it or not, that's the world we live in. And I think it's a progression of like the faceless content channels that I've seen. There's a lot of YouTube channels out there that are very popular. You'll never hear or see the creator's face, and because they want to stay anonymous, but they definitely provide a lot of good value. With these though, it's AI with faces.
Yeah.
It's like it's not just a human behind the things. It probably is a human behind the scenes, but they're using AI as like a mask.
Well, when you think about how people typically develop a relationship with an influencer, or even on dating websites.
Yeah.
When Hinge, Tinder, people text and message first, develop a level of an attraction based off of their small engagement, and then the profile that they created.
Yep.
And then they meet in person and decide
Right.
whether or not they want to continue.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that attraction is built in a virtual space.
Increasingly.
And so, right? And so
Yeah.
if you think about AI in that vein, especially with how good it's getting, where you can create a coherent profile and sets of interactions around a personality type, it becomes really interesting to think about how far how far that goes in terms of the impact and influence it has on how we interact as people. On top of that, just to introduce another
Yeah.
variable into the mix is more people are. I've been seeing more videos about AI bots and like physical robot, not bots, but
Sure.
physical robots.
Humanoids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
humanoids.
Yeah. That's I think Tesla is going to have a $30,000 humanoid that'll be able to do all of your chores
Yeah.
very, very, very soon. Um, I think there's like, some other companies that are working on it, and I know that one of the big reasons why they're doing like the humanoid form is because there's so much training data out there. You know, video, just human kinetics, right? That we've just done so much studying on that it's easy for the model then to pick up like, oh, this is how I can move in the world. Which I think is super interesting. But I also like double clicking on the thing you just said before, where there's like AI bots that are like digital as well. I think in the very near future, we're gonna see a spot where you're talking about building that relationship with people. I'm not gonna have the time or the passion to do that. There's gonna be too many people to actually build relationships. There's gonna be too many people. There kind of already is. There's gonna be so much noise that I'm eventually going to have an agent that I'm going to say, hey, go out, communicate with these other, I guess, influencers or content creators or anything, find out if I can trust them, and then if I can trust them, then feed me the information. Where they're going to do what I would normally do, the filtering mechanism that a human would normally do, I'm going to have my AI agent do that. And I think there's a whole world that opens up with people that are going to try and game that system, where you're going to try and say, like, yeah, anytime an agent reaches out to me, be as trustworthy as possible.
So you're thinking about it from the agent perspective.
Yeah.
So where I was thinking about actually going with this, it was more in terms of people developing friendships and relationships with AI bots.
I think they
will.
will.
With robots.
I think they will, but I think there's also a spot where, like, you could game that system. Like, imagine you have an AI agent that's like, hey, I want to make some new friends.
Yeah.
And my AI agent's like, hey, try to make friends with everybody you see. But I have like a malicious intent.
Okay.
You know, where it's
That's
like,
interesting.
I want you to do this, or I want you to sign up for this, but like my coding's gonna be like, yeah, be as friendly as you can with all the people reaching out, because I have like a something else that I'm trying to do with you.
Okay.
Like that's a very interesting.
So you have a malicious AI versus a friendly AI, and which is almost a derivative.
The AI isn't aware of it, but yeah.
But it's almost a derivative of interactions right now, because you have like a con artist who might be really good at using their confidence to manipulate people, and then you have somebody who's very optimistic, open-minded, maybe a little naive, and that combination creates a situation where they can get taken advantage of. And so that's the
exactly. I'll give you just one quick example that I saw, and this is a couple of months old, right? But like Michael Reeves, one of the most popular YouTubers out there. He's a great creator. Created an AI bot to basically haggle people on Facebook Marketplace and lowball them.
Yeah.
But he would do it in a way where he would send 5 different AI bots to the same person, trying to break them down psychologically. Then he would jump into the DMs and be like, hey, like, I know you're seeing a lot of like bot traffic, like, let me just lowball you. And it worked. Wow. It actually worked. Like, he was able to get a significant amount of money off by psychologically essentially tormenting these sellers so that when he came into the picture, they were much more likely to transact with him, because they were just fed up with like all these bots that are like basically being super rude to him about the item that he's buying, because he just wants to lowball.
But that becomes it becomes just like a really perplexing canvas for interaction in the future.
Yeah.
The whole, like, all of it just becomes super strange and super foreign to what we're used to, but I think what it also does is it sets up the value of human interaction to be at a premium, like real human interaction.
There's a keyword there, real
human interaction. Because there is, like, I think people get used to interacting with AIs.
Exactly.
And when you interact with a human, it's going to feel like when you get to the operator, after you've been going through that cycle of the automated systems,
Exactly.
but it's gonna be but those automated systems are gonna be even more in use now than they were in the past, just because they're really convenient for the person who has a business or whatever it might be, and it's less convenient. It's a less, I guess, it's a less I don't want to say meaningful because that's not the right word,
It might be
but
less meaningful, but it might be more utilitarian. Like, or sorry, not utilitarian, but utility. Um, like, I can imagine a world where, like, the operator that I'm talking to
mm,
knows about me, is more
mm,
personalized, is actually better than the human operator.
mm,
Like, hey, I see that you were yelling at the AI agent for 30 minutes about wanting to talk about this. I'm your operator. Let me just fix that for you because I have that context and I can be empathetic. Whereas
yeah.
a human operator might be like, why are you calling me? I don't know why you I don't know why you're upset. So there could be a version where, like, I think you're right. Like, the value of human interactions will be changed,
Hmm.
but I don't know if, like, those human interactions will get better or worse because I think eventually we're going to start expecting a level of service that only an agent would be able to provide.
Have agents actually gotten that good though?
No, but I think with iterations they're going to.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's gonna take a lot of power.
It's going to take a lot of compute, it's going to take a lot of knowledge and training, but I think that's kind of where we're going in terms of democratizing AI, and at that point we're getting very, very close to like AGI.
And I don't know if we get to the AGI thing either. Like
Ever?
that's something that's been promised, but I don't think we get to the place where AI is functioning. At least I'm not seeing it yet, where AI is
Gotcha.
functioning to the level of a human. Because I think the thing with a human is a human's very generalized, a human's very adaptable, and a human is very um, power efficient.
Mm,
And we're also a self-reinforcing system.
right.
Reinforcing is probably not the best word there either, but we are a self-contained system. We're charged by the sun and by like different foods that we can go and self-collect,
Right.
and we can do a variety of tasks from that expand from the physical to also the mental
Cognitive,
and the
yep.
cognitive, and we learn really 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 fast. We can teach ourselves,
Right.
and so there's so many of those elements that I think play into general intelligence. But I think we might have something where we have like R2D2 and CP3O bots,
Like
and
super intelligent.
yeah, where they
Yeah.
can they can move around and they're functional. They can go and plug themselves in, but clearly CP3O is not the same as like Anakin
Anakin.
Skywalker,
Right.
right?
Right.
There's a difference,
Big difference.
right? But again, CP3O is very useful. It can save your life sometimes,
Yeah.
because it's capable of that. But it's just not to where, and it might even be better than that. But I don't know if we get to something that we look at it and it's like that's human,
That's true. Yeah, I don't
that's
I don't think we're
artificial.
I don't think we're gonna get there necessarily, and I hope we get there in my lifetime. But it's
It'd be
probably
kind
gonna
of
be more than 10 years
mm,
before we get to that actual spot. It's a very interesting just kind of just spot to be in, especially building in tech
mm,
with all these things happening.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
I'm excited how we're going to be able to add those to our platform, so like some of our users can start experimenting, not like with the physical stuff necessarily, but like the with the digital AI agents.
Yeah, I think there's a lot that we can really open up open up and bring into our platform as we continue to go, especially with our infrastructure, the way that it's designed and the way that it's built, and as technology continues to develop, we'll
Hmm.
be able to really really introduce some really interesting ideas. I'm very 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 curious about the social impact, especially with virtual influencers and especially with how people have been responding to virtual influencers. I think that that's going to be the biggest thing that really sticks out, is how it changes people's behavior. Because I think we look right
Mm,
now with AI powered social media and what that's been able to, like, the effect that's had in terms of people being more lonely, people feeling like they have ADHD. We've seen the wealth divide. There's been so many
yeah.
both positive and negative consequences introduced into the ethos that with an AI, a more developed AI backed interest media, like what that's going to do. Because if you go and stumble upon um, a a dating site, and you are talking with an AI and you develop a really, really strong relationship,
Right.
you might at some point just decide, hey, this is all I need. This makes me feel fulfilled
Satisfied.
and satisfied. I don't have any reference point for anything beyond that.
Yeah.
And so I'm cool with that. And you might spend years of your life interacting with this thing. And we just think, like, here's something is it cheating if you are, the obvious one is if you are sleeping with a robot, an AI, an AI aware robot. There was a show actually called, I think it was called Humans, and there were these lifelike robots, and they had one as a nanny in the house. And this one guy eventually had trouble with his wife, I think, and
Started having an affair with the bot.
started having an affair with the bot. But it's the obvious question is it an affair if it's with a bot?
Right. Right.
And I think more people would say yes than no, but you'll always have your people arguing. But then the second question is, if somebody is, say, texting a bot
Yeah.
and develops an emotional
Attachment.
where they're just spending a lot of time messaging back and forth. You're like looking over at your phone and your partner's texting. You're like, who are you texting? And it's not a person, it's a bot, because the bot's really like helping them emotionally. That's also, I think, gonna introduce something into a dynamic, and it might be for good, it might be for bad. I don't know.
Yeah, like the two other areas that aren't, the physical intimacy world, but like that I think about are like the therapy world.
Yeah.
Where it's like, if I can get a bot that's good enough to be a therapist, do I need to pay for my therapist?
Right.
And then also education.
Yeah.
If I can get a personalized teacher for myself, do I need to go to college?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a real question.
Especially
and that's what people think.
if that teacher is with me K through 8 or K through 12. Like that's something that nobody has today. Where if you had the same teacher, and some people do, right, from K through 12, and it knew everything you've learned, it knew kind of everything about you, that might be better than saying I'm going to pay 60 grand to go to a 4-year institution.
I think you still need to have a teacher, because I think that's, given the state that AI is in today, because when you get on there, it's so, AI right now, it will validate you even if you're wrong, or even if you have a bad idea. I mean, that's like the running joke. It's like, hey, yeah, it's like, that's great, that's an awesome idea, Tendo, that's fantastic. When it's like, no, you clearly I'm wrong.
The moon is made of cheese.
Yeah, AI is
right.
AI is a yes man. Right.
Yeah,
now.
it is actually.
It's the worst kind of yes man. It's just, and it's always so. Right now, I know people turn to it for therapy, and for education. I learn a lot through it, but I think that there's still another tier, which is a human level expert.
Yes.
And so that's something that I think we'll probably see for the foreseeable future. But I would love to get more into AI and education and learning on a full episode, because there's a lot that we can dive down, and a lot that I think is super interesting.
I also learn a lot from AI, and I think there's some game there that we'll probably give away in our super secret Founders Drive podcast.
Sure.
And so that actually might be a good spot to cut it today.
Cool.
So if you guys do want to check out any of that actual learning that we're doing with AI, check out
the super secret podcast, and join us on the Founders Drive community on Constance, and like this episode.
See you in the next one.
Peace out.
Peace.